This is just a very basic overview video for the X-Finder Professional Satellite and Terrestrial Meter, okay? It comes in this presentation box here. I'll just open it for a second, just to show you. So it comes in a handle, all the rest of it. And you can see it's just really clever. Everything you see in the bench here goes directly into this. So it's ideal for, we would say, safe transportation, etc. Okay? So what I'll do is I'll just go through all the accessories that come with this, and then we'll move on to the main event, which of course is the meter itself. Okay, so the first thing to note here is that we have a car charger here. So that'll run, obviously, if you're charging it when you're on the go. We have a power unit here, and with this particular power unit, it has an output of 14.5 volts and 4 amps, which is much higher than, we'll say, with most meters, and it leads to a very fast charging time on this particular meter. We have a remote control with it, which initially will strike you as strange for a meter, but the reality is that you can actually use this both as a viewing monitor, but also as a set-top box. So it makes perfect sense to be able to use it with this. In terms of the outputs we can take from it then, we can take an output here from, inside this we have an RCA output on it, being fed off a 3.5 millimeter audio type jack here. And once again, for the RS232 cable, it's been fed in the same way. There's a strap here that goes with this particular thing, so it just means you can hold it on your shoulder or possibly around your neck if you're holding it in front of you like that. And the user manual itself is reasonably comprehensive and is in English. Okay, so we're just going to move all those things out of the way, and the next thing I'll just come along, we'll look at the main event here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour back the cover here, and we'll say here that we have a display the screen here, and we have a whole series of menu options and buttons here. Before maybe I get into that, what I'll do is I'll just turn it over here, and if you can just focus in here, hopefully that's okay. We'll just look here, we have the power port here, we have a CI card slot here. So what we can do here is if we were actually using this to view encrypted TV, just say you had a contract with, say, for a rollout of Turf TV, something like that, working for bookies, you could be using this to make sure that the encrypted channels are visible to you. You have an Ethernet port here which you can use for networking it. You can see the two output ports here that we saw earlier in terms of for feeding it to the RCA or the RS232 cable. We have a mini USB port here. We have a switch here, and underneath we have a HDMI output here, which normally obviously how you connect it up to a television, something like that, particularly if you're using it with a set-top box. And then we have both a terrestrial input with a loop out, and we have an RF out here, and we have a satellite input with an LNB out here as well. And finally we have a USB port here, which you can obviously use for adding on something like a hard drive if we were both you know, saving images, saving recordings we're making on this, or also will need upgrading the firmware or channel list, etc. directly onto it. Now we're going to have more videos in our series which will cover the whole topic of the setup on it, but the key thing is to note that we can handle a satellite, both SS2, and we can also handle T2 terrestrial and indeed cable with this particular meter. So it's a very, very high-end meter. There's other ones that are exactly the same spec on the thing, but this comes from, we'll say, SAB in the Netherlands. So this is really a brand name thing, and it comes at a very, very comprehensive price. Competitive price for what it's doing. So that's it anyway, an overview of the X-Finder satellite and terrestrial meter.